What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel. I'm your host, Dylan Clemens. Here with me, as always, are my two co-hosts, Michael Plant and Ike Bonnie. What's up, fellas?
Hey.
Just hanging out, laughing at the comment you posted.
You like that? That was supposed to be our private chat, but shit happens. 2 weeks in a row, I've done something silly like that, man. I absolutely love it.
Jesus, great way to start off
I
the show.
didn't
That's
even
our
look
private
at it.
chat right there, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. But I didn't even mention it off the top. We're just on a roll here. We are talking week 3 game previews. How's your guys' fantasy teams holding up after just the barrage of injuries we've had these first couple weeks?
I'm fine.
A lot of
I'm fine.
a lot of 1-1s, some 2-0s, and I think like only 2 0-2s. So I mean, for the most part, I'm not defeated.
Yeah, not too shabby at all. I'm hanging
It's
in there.
still early.
What's up, JV? How you doing, man?
It's nice to see you back. And
yes, it is.
Dave said, "Holy AJ, you're late." Yeah, we'll
Hi,
call it a
Dave.
combined effort.
Yeah. Well, let's just go with
No,
that.
it's on the plant.
Yeah, producer Mike and
All right, so you know how Justin Fields took accountability. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not pointing any fingers out there." I just got interviewed, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm blaming my whole fucking team."
That was
coaching.
He only did that after he was
after he already
coaches, right? So hold on.
Right.
Let me come back in like 10 minutes, and I'll say it's all on me.
Well, we knew it all along. I'm just kidding.
Bears were just an absolute shit show all week long. It was just lovely as a Bears fan. It just felt like something every day was just popping up. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is great. But please smash that like button. Please subscribe if you don't already. And then head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans and become an all-access member. You get access to our award-winning rankings, access to our cheat sheets, our access to our F6P Discord, where you get custom advice for your leagues and DFS builds, direct access to our F6P team, and AMAs. Plus, you get your DFS projections and stacking tool. And honestly, the best part is just having direct access to our staff, where you could ask Dave, Eddie, anybody in there.
Chris Robin.
Yes, just whatever you need, whatever you want.
Keith Fleming gives you some good advice. I know Alan over there. He's good with the betting, the over and unders and covering. So I mean, we got
Alan's been killing it
covered.
too. Yeah,
and it's worth the price of admission, guys.
Yep, agreed. Just $9.99 a month. So just head on over there. Once again, that's fantasy6pack.net/plans.
And you get to annoy Joe just like we do.
I love it. What do you guys say? Let's just jump right into things here. And our first game that we got for you guys is the Indianapolis Colts versus the Baltimore Ravens. Ike, we're going to start with you. I'm curious, man. Michael Pittman, pretty 2 solid weeks. I kind of dig it.
One solid week.
And it could be Gardner Minshew. I'm curious if you think that helps him or hurts him, and where do you have him ranked in your rankings this week?
So his first week was good because he got that fluky screen touchdown pass. When do you ever see Michael Pittman take one to the house like that? Pretty much never. So what we expect is a lot of targets, a lot of catches, but not many yards, which is what he got last week, and he finished as wide receiver 39. So I have him a bit higher, like wide receiver 30, just because he gets the targets, but unless he finds the end zone, and he's not going to be what you expect from week 1.
Yeah.
Still should be started, though.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And what do you think about what we saw from Zach Moss last week? Because, man, we had a Zach Moss question on the show, and we just kind of poo-pooed it away. And then he comes out and plays, was it 98% of the snaps or something wild like that? What's your take on Zach Moss here?
22 touches for 107 total yards. He finished as RB10. I don't think anybody expected that. And if you did, you should be a guru by now. But he's got a tough matchup against the Ravens. So it might be best to temper your expectations with him. If you're struggling at running back with like the Nick Chubb injury or whatever, you probably are starting him. But if you have better options, I would lean that way.
There's one of our DFS guys saying going back to back winning weeks, or trying to.
Let's go. Yeah, that pretty much does it for the Colts. Mike, jumping over to you and these Baltimore Ravens. Well, now Justice Hill was ruled out today, so I'm curious your thoughts. Does that make Gus Edwards a pretty much set it and forget it RB2 this week?
I mean, when you asked me the question, I did do the research, and this was yesterday before Hill got ruled out. Hill had more snaps in week 2, which is weird in my opinion, to Edwards, but Edwards had one more red zone carry. Andy had one more red zone carry in the 20s. But the thing that kind of really spoke to me was Edwards got all of his red zone carries, within the 5 and 10 yard line, where Justice Hill's 3 red zone carries were literally just inside the 20 yard line. So it was like as soon as they got inside, the red zone, it was all Gus Edwards. So now that he's ruled out, I mean, I do think he's a good flex play. I wouldn't say RB2, maybe more RB, high end RB3. They get the same workload when they are on the field. So I do imagine, because I want to say it was Melvin Gordon who they signed to the practice squad, is going to
correct. Yep.
Yeah, he's going to come up and he's probably going to eat into that workload a little bit. And I don't expect it to be the same as what like Hill and Edwards was doing last week. So I do like Edwards this week with Hill out. I just temper my expectations. High end RB3.
Yeah, for sure. I tend to agree with you there. And then let's jump into their wide receiving
That's
core.
funny. One of these guys got ruled out too.
Yep, Odell got ruled out. And so that leaves pretty much Bateman and Zay and the rookie Zay Flowers, who's just been absolutely fantastic. And Devin Duvernay, if you want to throw him in there. But
Nelson Aguilar.
What's your take on these guys?
So, I mean, even if OBJ comes back, I still want Flowers. I don't like to, lean on the rookies out the gate, but I mean, let's be honest, he's dominating the wide receiver snaps for him, 77.3%. The next highest is going to surprise you. It's Bateman. But it's literally almost 20% less at 58.7%. That's the next highest wide receiver snaps. So like Zay Flowers is out on the field 20% more time than any other wide receiver. He's first on the targets for the wide receivers in the Ravens, and 28th for all wide receivers. Now, this was the cool stat I found. 8 wide receivers. Now, it's only 2 games. It's not really a sample size yet, but 8 wide receivers are tied for 4 red zone targets in the NFL. Flowers is one of them.
Wow.
Keenan Allen, Brandon Ayuk, and this was I did do this before the Thursday night game because Deebo Samuel did creep his way into it, and I just excluded him because he was an extra game in. But after Ayuk was Tyler Lockett, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, even Jamar Chase, and then Michael Thomas as well.
Yeah, that's fair. I love me some Zay Flowers, man, and I know you heard all about him the first couple weeks because you said you don't like to lean on the rookies. But when you see a guy play like that and the way he moves on the field, you can tell that he's just got it. But heading over into our next game, we got the Tennessee.
Shifty.
Yeah. Heading over to our next game, we got the Tennessee Titans against the Cleveland Browns. And Ike, start with you. After 13 targets in game 1 for DeAndre Hopkins, he saw just 5 in week 2 and finished outside the top 60 wide receivers. Do you expect to bounce back in this one against the Browns?
You can probably say that he did that bad because he was still dealing with his injury, which is a hamstring, which it takes a couple of weeks, like 2 to 3, for him to actually ramp up his normal production. So I also think this is a week you should probably sit him because I don't think he's going to be as productive. And plus, he's playing the Browns, who have been really good against wide receivers.
Denzel Ward's legit, man. He's very, very good. And we know DeAndre Hopkins isn't one to separate from receivers. He's kind of the high point, go up and get it ball, possession kind of guy. And yeah, this isn't the best matchup for him, and I definitely don't love it either. Obviously, you're not starting. Yeah, you're not starting Ryan Tannehill either. Treylon Burks is just kind of boom or bust, and more bust than he's not. It's really
could be a gross game.
Yeah, totally could be a gross game. Jumping to the Cleveland Browns, Mike, heading to you.
Before we do that real quick, Jamie,
Sure.
I mean, did have a question. He says he likes Flowers this week too, but would you start him over Addison? I would not. I would start Addison. He's a number 2 target in that. Number 2, borderline number 3 after Hawkinson's week last week. I do like Flowers' volume, but I don't know. I think I like just the upside of that Vikings offense with how bad that defense is.
And they're playing the Chargers. Yeah, and they're playing the Chargers, so it's got to have one of the highest points.
It's a possible shootout right there because the Chargers can't stop anybody through the air right now, and the Vikings can't stop anybody.
And they can't run.
Not even Baker.
Right. But Mike, jumping into the Browns, man, that was just terrible what we saw with Nick Chubb. Jerome Ford's the next man up. They signed Kareem Hunt this week as well. Is Jerome Ford a must start with Chubb out of the lineup? Even though this is a really tough matchup against this Tennessee front that has done a very good job stopping the run in the first 2 weeks of the season.
I mean, you said it yourself. They have been very legit so far through 2 weeks, only allowing 7.9 PPR fantasy points per game. So he's not a must start. Not a great start for him to get the starting workload. So I try to find somebody else if you have the option. Just here's some examples. First week they played Jamal Williams. Now, I get it. He's not a great back, an awesome back, but he's RB 38. Joshua Kelly was last week. Everybody's, FanDuel, DFS darling. He finishes RB 51 in PPR.
Yeah. We kind of got suckered into him a little bit on the Sunday show, on our start sit show. We should have definitely not liked him as much.
It was all dependent on the other.
Yeah, of course.
For me. But I wasn't the highest on Kelly. I know Joe said he had him like at RB 12, I think it was. But everybody got killed by that ranking. Nobody had Josh Kelly at RB 51. But you play your wide receivers against Tennessee, allowing the third most wide receiver points at 52 a game.
Yeah, Dave seems to agree with us as well. And same with Jamie. So, yeah, I agree.
Oh, and Mike, a bye week. That's not good.
Mike, I'm just going to throw this one at you, even though it's not on the show sheet.
Shocker.
Deshaun Watson, dude. This is as good of a matchup as possible for him against Tennessee because you can't run on him. You're going to have to throw on him. Is this the week he finally breaks out? I know he finished as like a top 6 guy week 1 or somewhere close to that, but he didn't look good. Are we finally going to see him look good this week, do you think?
In 10-team leagues, I'm not starting him. In 12-team leagues, this week would be it's one of those ones where it's like, I would think about it. I actually like him, and Dave might agree with me. Maybe he might disagree because he's better at DFS than me, but I think he's a great target at DFS this week because he has a great matchup. With the Nick Chubb injury, they're probably going to have to pass the ball a little bit more. The game plan isn't going to be so run heavy. Plus, the matchup doesn't dictate run heavy. He's a must play again this week. I mean, I get it. The salary, it's the value. It's just, last week I don't even think he got his value for how low he was priced.
No.
But this is the week, you can go out there and, you're still risking it playing Deshaun Watson with how bad he was. But I think this is the week that we will see if Deshaun Watson is going to be a viable player, down for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better than this.
Yeah, I agree. We got to see it this week. We really do. Heading over to the next game, we got the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Detroit Lions. Drake London found the end zone last week. Do you feel more comfortable now? And can we just now trust him as your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 in your lineup?
I feel more comfortable at wide receiver 3, but this is a good week to start him because Lions are allowing the most points to wide receiver, or third most, to wide receivers. And he is the main option in the passing game and for the wide receivers. He leads the team in targets. So I wouldn't expect a crazy game from him, but he could definitely play target for sure.
Is this the Kyle Pitts breakout week?
No.
Come on.
Pretty sure Jonnu Smith had more targets than him last week.
Actually, I did hear a stat. Oh my Lord. It was I can't even remember it, but I feel so bad I can't give the credit. But the Lions actually Oh yeah, it was Keith Fleming on the show they recorded earlier today. The Lions linebackers have allowed 8 receptions and 70 yards to tight ends for the past 7 games.
Really?
So like this is like
That's an awful stat, Mike. I don't like hearing that at all.
I know when you're a Kyle Pitts owner, you're like, I like it, but I still want to bench him. But I mean, it's one of those ones again. It's like if he's going to be viable, should be the week. We hope.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry, Keith. I took your stab.
Looking at the Lions side of things, Mike. David Montgomery was ruled out. The son got
doubtful.
Doubtful. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like he's trending in the right direction to play, which kind of puts a damper on my waiver wire darling Josh Reynolds this week.
I think he's still good, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. What's your thoughts on Gibbs as well with Monty out? Do we finally get to see the infusion of talent from him and to the point where he's just going to get a ton of touches? What do you think?
So, I mean, I love Reynolds. He's a lock for me, and I know that was your original question. If ARSB doesn't play, just because Goff has 6 incompletions out of all QBs so far through 2 games. Now, again, small sample size. He's getting a 19.7% target share from the Lions wide receivers. I mean, if they are down Amon-Ra, that's a 24.2% target share that is probably mostly going to funnel towards him and Laporta, maybe Gibbs as well.
Yeah.
Because I do like, I know your next question is, I don't know if you asked me it yet, or I'm just going to jump into it, but Gibbs. I'm still a little bit afraid of Gibbs splitting time still with whatever running back they decide to include, like maybe Craig Reynolds.
Yeah.
Just because that's the offense. Now, he only received a 48.5% snap share in week 2, and that was after that, with the whole Monty injury in there too. That was 31st for all running backs that week. So, I mean, just this one surprised me a little bit. So his 48.5% snap share after, with the Monty injury was behind Justice Hill last week, who had 57.3%. And then Miami's fullback, Alec Ingold, had a 60.3% snap share against the Patriots and was on the field. That's not ideal. So I'm still just afraid that Gibbs is going to end up splitting time. Now I think there's more targets available if Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't there.
Sure.
And it could probably, give him a little bit more of a ceiling, but I'm tempering expectations, especially if St. Brown is in.
Come on, Campbell. Give us the workload that we all want to see Gibbs receive. Just get him 20 touches this week and just let him eat. It'd be fantastic to watch. Hold on, we got a comment here from Dave.
I was just gonna say, yep, Gibbs is gonna disappoint this week. Lions have flat out said they aren't gonna give him a bigger workload just because Monty's out. Craig Netflix Reynolds.
No lying.
Yeah, it's a decoy, Dave.
Smoke show.
Next game, we got the New Orleans Saints versus the Green Bay Packers. Man, Jamal Williams is missing some time with a hamstring injury. Alvin Kamara is suspended for 1 more week, and that leaves Tony Jones Jr. and the rookie running back, Kendre Miller. With Tony Jones being the lead guy that we believe that he should be this week, is he a top 24 guy in your rankings?
No.
Okay.
He got lucky with his 2 touchdowns.
You know how hard I was to not spit out my beer right there at my lap.
He got lucky with his 2 touchdowns, and he averaged 2 yards per carry. Clearly, he's not talented as a running back. I don't know how he found the end zone. The Saints' offensive line is pretty fantastic, so that's probably why. Right. But since Kendre Miller's coming back, I think they want to give him a shot before Kamara comes back, just to see what he's got.
Sure.
So don't start Tony Jones, please. Don't.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, when we get to the Panthers matchup, I'll tell you why Tony Jones Jr. scored.
All right on.
I got stats about their defense.
Like we did mention Alvin Kamara and that he comes back next week. I'm curious your thoughts on, does that help this offense from a fantasy perspective? Because I mean, it's been okay outside of Derek Carr, who's throwing to all these guys. He's kind of been brutal. But does Kamara coming in, does that hurt the pass catchers, or does it help everybody?
So I think it hurts the tight ends more because as of right now, Carr is barely targeting tight ends. Granted, you have Austin Hooper and a rookie, but he's targeting the running backs without Kamara 29% of the time, which is 5th in the NFL. So clearly Carr likes to throw the running back and wide receivers. I think Kamara's going to be fine in fantasy. Chris Olave is going to be fine in fantasy. Don't have to worry about him. Michael Thomas might take a slight hit, but he should still be fine. I think Shaheed might lose out on some targets, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I hate that because Rashid.
But he's the deep threat, so
yeah, he's good stuff, man. I enjoy Rashid Shaheed a lot, and I picked him up in a couple leagues the last couple weeks. Mike, heading on over to the Packers side of things, and after 1 week of no Aaron Jones, who's questionable this week, we saw A.J. Dillon finish as RB33. Where does that leave us with him? Are we just kind of out on A.J. Dillon, that he's just kind of Trent Richardson light, or what are you thinking here?
Oh, come on. Don't call him Trent Richardson like.
I mean,
he wasn't drafted in the first round in the top 10 pick. No, he was a second round draft.
Was Eddie Lacy a later round pick or later in the first round? No,
he was a first round pick. I believe he was
later though, right?
Yeah, it was a later. I'll give you that.
Do you want me to call him Eddie Lacy?
No, because he's not Cheeseburger Eddie yet. So, you trust Dave, as the resident Lions fan, I'm the resident Packer fan here. I wouldn't call him Trent Richardson, but AJ Dillon just doesn't seem like he's ever going to be the guy. 2.6 yards per carry through 2 games this year. Yuck. That is disgusting. In one of those games, he got all the carries. One of those games, he didn't get all the carries, so he should have been more efficient. Saints are 11th best at defending the RBs according to fantasy data. Your question was, I think, Tony Jones or AJ Dillon. I mean, this week it's Tony Jones. It's Tony Jones.
Wow.
Over AJ Dillon. That's how I'm just off on AJ Dillon, especially if Aaron Jones is in.
No. Please don't. Please don't. Whoever is listening, please do not start Tony Jones over AJ Dillon.
Tony Jones is going to get a majority of the workload, and Kendre Miller is going to be the backup, and he's a rookie.
He only had 3 less carries than Taysom Hill, who's a quarterback, fullback, tight end type dude.
I understand that.
So clearly Jones isn't that good.
I mean,
Tony Jones isn't very good, and unfortunately,
they didn't game prep for Tony Jones to be the starter. I mean, he kind of just got thrusted into it because of an injury. I got a whole week now.
Game plan him into 2.8 yards per carry, which is only 0.2 higher than AJ Dillon, who has a way better cachet and a better offense.
I'll give you a better offense, but I mean, in that better offense, he's averaging 2.6 yards per carry.
Do they really have?
It's only 0.2 more than.
I agree with
2.2 less than Tony Jones.
I mean, Tony Jones hasn't had as many carries though as AJ Dillon, so I mean, we got a bigger sample size with AJ.
Yeah, I mean, if you can avoid both of these guys, I would do so.
Absolutely. You gave me it as a fun question.
Yeah, no doubt. What about?
And Ike's over here taking it personal. He's the Bears.
I am.
Yeah. Let's talk the wide receiver core though, Mike. Christian Watson just can't seem to get healthy.
Typical L take from LaPlante. I mean, that's fair, but this is a typical Dave Eddy take to disagree with anything I say.
That is fair as well. Speaking of Dave Eddy, he's been in our Discord touting this man, Jaden Reed, who has hit both weeks. Mike, does he need to be rostered in redraft leagues?
Yes. I mean, actually, when you gave me this question, and I told you it too in a text message, I'm like, I went out and got him after doing the research here. I mean, if you got somebody like, for me specifically, I had Sky Moore on my roster. He scored a touchdown last week, but if we're going to compare, workloads here, Reed is getting a much bigger workload. Yes, it's in 2 games without Watson because of, the hamstring injury, but we all know hamstrings linger. Reed is getting a 25% target share from Jordan Love through 2 games.
All right. Absolutely love to see that.
25 fucking %. All right. So like even when Watson comes back, I just feel like it's like Reed's his new favorite target. Yeah, he likes Dobbs and he liked him in the preseason, but in the regular season, Reed's the one getting open.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, go out and
Watson
roster
will
Jaden
probably be
Reed.
deep threat. That only.
Go out and roster
Maybe
Jaden
more
Reed
than
if you
that,
got
but-
the spot.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Mike.
If you've been holding on to Bateman, go drop him.
Finally.
someone like Bateman.
Finally, he agrees.
Next game on the docket, we got the Houston Texans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, we're gonna start with you here, and man, oh man, has Nico Collins just been awesome to start this season.
Nico White,
top 12 wide receiver on the season. How high do you have him ranked this week?
He's definitely a top 24 wide receiver. You should be starting him as your wide receiver 2 spot. For some reason, CJ Stroud or the offense just loves throwing the ball, considering he's averaging 45 plus throws a game.
They're down every week, Ike. And guess what's going to happen this week? They're going to be down. So they're just going to huck it football the entire time.
And with a 23% target share, perfect for Nico. Give me that all day.
Exactly.
Yes. Whoever drafted him, you got a good one.
I mean, Dylan, I disagree with you respectfully. I don't think they're going to be down the whole time. Like, Houston always plays Jacksonville tough. CJ Stroud has been playing a lot better than we expected.
A lot better than people are saying too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dave agrees. CJ Stroud's, sleeper DFS playing week 3.
Weird.
It makes sense though. I mean, I'm not trying to poo-poo CJ Stroud at all. I'm really not trying to. But guys, it's a lot easier. But it's a lot easier to put up these stats and look better when these teams are playing soft defenses late in the fourth quarter when the teams are up by 2 touchdowns. So he's kind of the king of garbage time right now, and that's all right for DFS and for fantasy. And that's what I'm assuming Dave likes about it as well. But yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. I don't know if they're going to be in this one. Maybe, could be wrong.
I just don't think they get blown out is what I'm getting at.
Sure. Ike, but what are we doing with Dameon Pierce here? Just an awfully slow start. And I think it has to do with them being down all the time, where Devin Singletary needs to be on the field because he's the third down back. He's the better pass blocker, catches the ball out of the backfield. Where do you have Dameon Pierce in your rankings this week after a slow start?
It's not good for him. If me and LaPlante were shitting on Tony Jones and AJ Dillon with their yards per carry, we got to give it to Dameon Pierce, who is averaging the same as AJ Dillon at 2.6. Just brutal. It's bad. They don't like running the ball in Houston anymore, apparently. They're saying CJ Stroud just throw it again, down a lot. He is no factor in the passing game for the most part. I have him ranked still as RB 35 just because I'm holding out hope. Yeah, but I'm out.
RB 35 is down there for sure.
Like we said, they're gonna be down, maybe down, but they're passing a lot, and he's just not in the passing game. Yeah. And CJ Stroud's not passing the running back that much anyway. So,
and he's
giving his targets to his wide receivers like he should.
Yeah, he's definitely feeling the effect of their offensive line being down 4 out of the 5 starters. Like, they can't get any push, can't get anything going. I'm pretty sure I even saw a stat on Twitter. I'm sorry, I don't know who posted it, but like he was top 5 in evaded tackles behind the line of scrimmage or something like that. Like, he's elusive, and I think he's pretty good. He just has no shot right now. That's really,
and he's getting he's not getting the volume like he was last year, where
agreed
point carries 80 yards and falling in the end zone is fine. But now he's getting 10 to 12 carries, and that's just not kind of.
Yeah, he's just
honestly don't start him unless you're in deep leagues.
He's just been killing lineups all over the world. It hasn't been great, that's for sure.
Would you start him in a standard league?
No, I don't.
No, like I said, he's not.
He doesn't get in the end zone anyways, Mike, either.
Well, yeah, but I'm just curious, because it does vary a little bit differently because we know he's not getting the receptions. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
At this point, we gotta see more before he gets back in starting lineup. It's been bad.
Yep. Then looking over at the Jacksonville Jaguars, Mike, my question to you is: with Zay Jones out, does that make Christian Kirk a lineup lock after the good week we saw from him last week? I can't give you the regular question. Dude was ruled out. What do you want me to do?
I'm going to kill the ruled out guy because it's an easy answer. But I just think that's a fun question to have some fun with. But yeah, he's a lock. Christian Kirk is a lock with Zay Jones out of the lineup. I do think it's going to be a competitive game. I did see that count.
I love that.
But I do think he is a lineup lock. He is more of your wide receiver 3, though. Borderline flex wide receiver 3 in that range. But with Zay Jones out, the targets are going to be there. It kind of gives a little bit of an uptick in Evan Ingram, though. But I still agree Kirk is going to probably have his second best week because he ain't getting what he got last week against the Chiefs. But yeah, I do expect Kirk to have a solid week as a wide receiver 3 flex.
Yeah, I expect Calvin Ridley to have a bounce back week after a disappointing week last week as well. Houston's defense is banged up as well, especially their secondary. Derek Stingley's out this game, so definitely not ideal. Maybe
he's out a couple weeks.
Really can find his way in the end zone. I think he's out like 6 weeks, which isn't ideal.
Who?
Derek
Stingley for Houston.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, not good stuff. Houston's in rough shape, and they don't have their first round pick this next year either because they traded it in the draft. Kind of pretty irresponsible of them, if you ask me.
They
did get Will Anderson out of it.
He could be the next Micah Parsons. Look at Micah Parsons. So
he isn't Micah Parsons, man. Nobody's Micah Parsons. It might be the best defensive player in football right now.
Tell that to TJ Watt.
It's baby LT, man.
There's a handful of guys that you can.
There's some good D linemen out there that are just starting to creep up into that elite.
We don't even know what Micah Parsons' position is. I mean, I get it; he's a linebacker, but he's a pass rusher. He can, go out and
he's baby LT, man.
He really is.
I was watching the Football Life, and it was on Micah Parsons before the show today. And he actually played running back in high school. The dude could play like every position if he really wanted to. He probably could be.
Pretty sure he played safety a little bit at Penn State.
Total freak. I could totally see it. Absolutely. Our next game, we got the Denver Broncos at Miami taking on the Dolphins. Ike, we saw Jerry Jeudy come back last week. Do you expect a better performance this week after a 5.5 fantasy point performance?
Like I said, for Hopkins, takes a couple weeks to get back into your normal production for a hamstring issue. Clearly, he's having it issues-ish still because he only played 68% of the snaps. It's going to bump up more and more as the weeks go by. He's a sneaky good play in this matchup. Dolphins do allow points to the wide receiver, but I would suggest benching him this week. It's just not – I don't think he's going to get enough snaps to produce in your fantasy lineup.
I'd like to think his snap share gets up to 75, 80%.
That's what I was thinking, 75. I'm thinking 75.
So I think he could produce on that. Maybe Russell Wilson hits him on one of those moon balls where he hit a couple last week.
So he could just re-injure his hamstring? Don't set him deep on a freaking go route.
Don't you dare count that Hail Mary as a moon ball.
Oh, there are a couple other ones too. Early in the game when they jumped out to that big lead and then they blew it.
Toy saved his season or his quarterback finish too.
Yeah, they're a bad team. They are a bad team. And like Javonte Williams is getting the workload, but is this the week he finally has a big week after finishing around 9 fantasy points the first 2 weeks?
It's been disappointing him not doing what I expected since him coming back. I guess I can give props to LaPlante a little bit. But still, you can't. He is out carrying P. Ryan 25-9.
He's getting the workload. I'll give you that.
Exactly.
I was wrong about that, but I'm not wrong about the efficiency. He does not.
And in this matchup where apparently the Dolphins can't stop the run, this is a nice game for him. It could be his breakout, but again, he's coming off some pretty crazy injuries. Don't expect anything crazy, but I finally think he should reach the end zone and solid 60, 70 yards.
Yeah, and I just hope he just keeps consistently seeing 5 to 6 targets. If that keeps happening, I'm going to bet on that we're going to see a big week from him one of these weeks.
You know what's probably the hardest anytime touchdown to bet? this fucking offense.
You never know who's going to do it.
You don't know who's going to score. I mean, it could be a great running matchup, and Javonte Williams ain't going to get it. It's probably Pirine.
Yeah, it's going to be McLaughlin.
Or McLaughlin. I mean,
yeah,
or it's going to be Marvin Mims.
He found the end zone. Marvin Mims.
I mean, it's not going to be Dulcich. It'll probably be Troutman. I mean, so...
Yeah, Marvin Mims catching a bomb and having like 16 fantasy points and a touchdown or something, and he played like 10% of the snaps or something silly like that. Whatever it was, it's crazy.
You want to talk about playing your guys, that are talented more. Sean Payton, what the hell are you doing with Marvin Mims?
Doing his thing. Jump it over to the Miami Dolphins, Mike. After a slow week 2, should we have Tua on our benches this week against a solid Denver defense?
No, they're not solid. I hate to break it to you. I like how you kind of put it with a question mark after it when you kind of said it like that. Tua's 9th in completions, 8th in passing attempts, and leads all QBs in passing yards through 2 games with 715 passing yards. Now, granted, 200 of those were in week 1 to Tyreek Hill, but that's the benefit of having good weapons.
Big week the first week, yep.
Still a benefit of having good weapons, which, as I checked, 5 minutes ago, Tyreek Hill is still playing. Jalen Waddle might be out with the concussion.
Yeah, he might not. Yep.
Mike McDaniels is smart enough to scheme up Tyreek Hill, get him the ball, and Tua will be fine. Because here's the thing. I wanted to give this. The next highest QB. Do you guys know who it is with the passing yards? Real quick.
I'm looking at it on the sheet. So
okay,
Cousins.
Kirk Cousins was 708. So far, those are the only 2 quarterbacks with 700 plus passing yards in the NFL right now. Isn't that a little weird? But yeah, you're starting to this defense is not as good as you thought it was. I'm just going to jump into the next question here, which is, where do I have Mostert ranked and, kind of why? Mostert right now is my RB11, and as of right now, he's in the top.
Whoa!
I actually have him pretty high too.
Yeah. Broncos surprisingly have allowed the 12th most points to running backs and the 9th most points to wide receivers through 2 games. So, Waddle is in the concussion protocol like we already established, so they might maybe lean on the run a little bit more or give those targets to Mostert, or maybe even A-Chain. But yeah, Mostert's probably going to have a pretty good week this week.
Yeah, that's nice. But everybody, keep paying attention about Jalen Waddle. Hopefully,
Brian Robinson just went off against the Broncos defense last week, so
that's definitely fair. Our next game we got here, which should be a shootout, good for fantasy purposes. We got the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Battle of 2 0-2 teams who feel like they probably shouldn't be 0-2, especially the Chargers.
Somebody's got to win, we think, or they might.
Yeah, they do. Maybe they tie. That would be the total Charger Vikings thing to do. Would be a tie. That's for sure.
That'd be great.
But we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier today when we were talking about Josh Kelly. But are we trusting him with Eckler being out in a really good matchup against Minnesota this week?
I am. He looked good in week 1. You got to remember in week 2, he played the Titans, who have a really good defense right now. So just keep that in mind. He still had 13 carries against that Titans defense. He just didn't find the end zone. With how much I expect the offense to be just flying down the field, he should find the end zone at least once, you'd expect. You can start him RB2 flex for sure. I would feel safer in the flex.
Yeah, we definitely touched on it earlier. Josh Kelly, just go back to the well this week. I think you will be happy with how he produces.
He does not have a role in the passing game, though. So you got to hope for that end zone touchdown.
He doesn't have a role in the passing game. I honestly don't think he's very good. But
that's fair.
He's just gonna see the volume and maybe he finds the end zone.
And I don't think the people behind him are good either.
But let's talk about someone who is good, who just doesn't put it together on the field all the time and also can't stay healthy. But he is healthy right now, and that's Mike Williams.
Don't put that bad juju on him.
13 targets like last week. Where do you have him ranked this week? Is he near wide receiver 1 territory now?
Mid wide receiver 2, 15 to 18 range, I'd say. Apparently Quentin Johnston is just not a thing.
No.
So don't expect him to get targets.
Palmer's kind of thing.
It's going to Keenan Allen.
Palmer, man. He can't.
Yeah, right. It's going to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and I think you should be starting both of them in this high-scoring game with full confidence.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah, it's easy.
All the Chargers, you're starting them all. You're starting Justin Herbert.
Gerald Everett's a little bit sketchier, but
yeah. Gerald Everett, not great.
I don't know. Gerald Everett, when he got the ball, man, he couldn't get tackled. You see when he was getting, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't win Kyle Brandt's Angry Run Award. Baker did. Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Herbert just doesn't like throwing him that much. It's either Keenan Allen, Big Mike, and usually Austin Eckler or bust.
Yep. Yeah, Baker won Angry Runs week 1, and then it was Christian McCaffrey winning it for week 2. So heading on over.
We can't. I completely forgot this, and I'm going to take the blame for this, even though I wrote it in the private chat. We did have two questions now. When we had a question by Albert about 18 minutes ago, Jordan Addison or Nico Collins, full point PPR. I'm sorry, Albert. You can blame me.
Give me Nico Collins.
Yeah, full PPR. I want Nico. More volume.
Nico.
Hasn't he?
You got to hope for a big play for Addison.
He's seen 10+ targets each game. So.
Yeah, it's like a 23-25% target share. I said earlier too. So give me Nico Collins for sure.
Yep, and then we do have just one other one. Actually, no, two. My bad. Would you bench Fields and start Stafford or Russell Wilson? And start Stafford, Russell Wilson in a 2 QB league, not super flex 2 QB. So he has to start these guys.
I am starting Fields over.
Matthew Fields over both of them.
I think, yeah. It's 2 quarterback
leads. Quarterback one though.
I think the odd man out is Stafford on the road in Cincinnati this week. I don't.
Also agreed. I think Russell's gonna be fine.
Stafford plays the Bengals, and I personally don't think they're gonna play Joe Burrow, which probably the Rams
low scoring
might not. Yeah, it'd probably be low scoring. So I would still start Fields in hopes that they run him and start. Oh man, I don't
Russell,
know.
Man, he's fine.
I don't trust it. He was like we said in the last matchup. He was saved by that Hail Mary. I'm going Stafford and Fields.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say that you were sitting Fields. I was about to.
No, I was
be happy with you.
It's Wilson and Fields for me.
No, it's Stafford and Fields for me.
I want to go into a Fields rant now, but we'll wait until we get to that game. Mike, we'll jump back into the Vikings here, and big news this week out of there. Acquiring Cam Akers from the Rams. Kevin O'Connell came out today, said that Akers might be inactive. So does that keep Alexander Mattison alive this week if Cam Akers is inactive? And then does this just kill him rest of the season?
Yes. I mean, you wrote the question before the Cam Akers trade happened. So
stop throwing me under the bus, man.
Well, just saying it as it is. I'm transparent. Sorry. But yeah, you're 100% correct. He's viable this week. Probably get your last week out of, in a DFS lineup, maybe or even in a flex play, but he hasn't been very good either. This is a great matchup for him, but he is pretty much dead in my opinion, as far as starting, because they're just going to keep eating into each other's value. Cam Akers played in Kevin O'Connell's offense in his rookie year when he was the offensive coordinator, but then the next year that's where he had his Achilles injury, so he didn't play with him. But he knows the offense enough to where he could learn it quick on the fly. The whole reason we liked Madison was because the volume was going to push him into that RB2 range, and now the volume's cut off by Akers. So, I mean, both of them are kind of like low-end RB2s, high-end RB3s for the rest of the season.
Why do I feel like they're the same person?
I mean, maybe one of them might sneak their way up to a higher RBN too, just because of, someone's got to score the touchdowns in the backfield. But one of them is going to end up,
They are so similar. Like, who's going to be the third down back in this offense? Or are they just going to legitimately just
Madison,
split
maybe
drives?
They're just going to do weird shit. Plan said, I honestly wouldn't start either of them.
Dave, leave your. Hey, I give the full disclaimer. Go to you first, but I'll still talk about it.
And catch Dave's DFS advice in our Discord. Check out fantasy6pack.net/plans and sign up for membership.
Man, you're good.
Plug there. Yeah, professional.
Very robotic plug.
Oh, stop it.
You stop.
And then we we kind of talked earlier. We're pretty much all in on Jordan Addison. This is another good matchup for him. You're pretty much starting him wherever you can.
Unless you're well,
It's
unless
good segue for our question that's coming
unless
up.
it was Nico Collins, but yes.
Yeah. A top 15 guy. Our next game we got here is the New England Patriots versus the New York Jets. Iker, start to you. Who is the one pass catcher you believe needs to be started from this Patriots offense? And why is the answer Hunter Henry?
It's only Hunter Henry because he's the 100%. Touchdown threat. Plus,
tight end wasteland, we found our guy.
As of right now, the weather is supposed to be, I wouldn't say brutal, but not necessarily fun out there for fantasy. Still a little bit ways away, but it might be a tough time out there. Expect a low-scoring affair. Expect very little fantasy points except for defense. So, I mean, if you can, I would bench most of the guys except for like your Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, Ramondre playing absolutely.
Hunter Henry probably should be started because tight ends suck. Garrett Wilson, honestly, could be benched.
You know what's?
I mean,
Don't take my question. Don't take.
I'm sorry, but he's basically just living off of touchdowns.
How dare you take my hard work?
I wish
you may go into your next one.
No, I don't want to segue into it yet because I want to give you an awesome stat about Hunter Henry, guys. Even though they have Mike Gesicki, who's kind of lining up more as a wide receiver, Hunter Henry is playing 85% of the Patriots' offensive snaps. He can block. Yeah, and he's getting the targets, though, Mike. I want to say he's seen over 6 targets in each game. He's the guy you want in this offense.
He's tied for the team in targets with Kendrick Bourne, I believe.
Yeah. And there's no way you expected him to play 85% of the snaps, and it was over 90% last week. That's just fantastic stuff. It really is.
If you're out there listening, I'm sorry, but you're wrong about Juju Smith-Schuster in this offense.
Yeah, Juju seems to be pretty toast. But as Ike alluded to it, our next question has to do with Garrett Wilson. And last week he was saved by a touchdown. I know he said on the Sunday show that he could be set if you had a better option. And then, of course, he catches that slant and just takes it. It was 60, 70 yards for a touchdown. Do you believe he's worth a start this week against Bill, or is Belichick kind of just going to take Garrett Wilson away from this offense?
You're not starting Garrett Wilson. I'm not starting Garrett Wilson. If you got another player to start over him, that's at least
Garrett Wilson or Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison. If you have a guy, I'm going to put it as simple as this. If you have a guy that you are already thinking about putting in your flex this week, you can put him in there for Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson, here's the thing. Or Elijah Moore.
No, what?
Elijah Moore's seen like 8 or 9 targets in weeks.
Yeah, he has seen targets. He just hasn't.
Deshaun Watson just
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
great matchup. Volumes there. See. Like, here's the thing, and let me do this. Let me rattle this off first before I give you my answer. Garrett Wilson has 2 career games against the New England Patriots, and he has a total of 8 receptions off 10 targets for 127 yards and no touchdowns. All right. One of those weeks, he was wide receiver 15, had 6 of those receptions and 155 of those yards. That was week 8 last year. That actually shocked me. Zach Wilson was the quarterback. Week 11, he was wide receiver 76, 2 receptions on 3 targets.
There it is.
Yep. Yeah, he's like, oh, Garrett Wilson's not beating me again. Or Zach doing Wilson this, not beating, but doing this to me again.
Yeah. Zach Wilson was the quarterback again. So Bill Belichick learned that, this offense probably runs through Garrett Wilson when you have Zach Wilson as the quarterback.
Breece Hall is down, though, at that time.
They're going to make Breece Hall run is what I think the game plan is for Bill. I think they're going to make him run, and then on those plays, third down, where it's third and tight, he's going to go straight man, bring the house, and he's going to have that safety covering Garrett Wilson. Like, he's going to make sure Garrett Wilson does not beat him. So I'm sitting Garrett Wilson for like Tutu. I mean, like maybe even Tutu Atwell. I think I'd sit him for, honestly.
Wow.
What sucks is you drafted him as like your wide receiver 1, maybe.
Yeah, he was a top 10 guy at the position, 100%. Yeah, it totally sucks. And
now he's down to a level of him or a rookie who you got in like 10th round or whatever.
I think the matchup-
it's the same shit. It's the same shit if Burrow doesn't play either for the Bengals.
Yeah.
You got Jake Browning thrown into T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. I'm so scared for T. Higgins' fantasy production now with Jake Browning playing quarterback. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But Mike, go ahead.
Tell me about it for somebody who has Joe Burrow and T. Higgins in the fantasy six-pack trophy.
I am in a couple. Yeah, I am in Warrior Bowl as well. It's
I
totally,
have Chase and Higgins
totally
in quite a few spots.
But no, I didn't have to say anything else. We can move on if you like.
All right. The next. Oh, and before we move on to the next one, I just want to throw this out at both of you guys.
Oh, wait. We do have another question, but go on.
Let me finish this.
Yeah.
Are we panicking on Breece Hall after a 4-touch week, or are we staying in on him?
He's off the injury report. I'm still staying in on him because this offense is going to have to lean on him.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson as the coach.
He's clearly better than Dalvin Cook, too.
Yeah, 100%. But, Mike, what's our question?
The question here is, and it is Blake again. I told him we'd get to it afterwards. Pacheco or Breece Hall in a non-PPR as RB2?
Give me Isaiah Pacheco.
Against a shitty Bears defensive line.
I gotta go Pacheco. They could be up and just give him the ball.
You gotta take Pacheco this week.
And it's non-PPR too, where Breece Hall kind of gets a little bit more of a floor. And Pacheco's not really getting passes, so yeah, it's Pacheco.
Well, he did in week 1. Or was it week 2 they saw some targets?
I mean, yeah, some. Breece Hall, that's where he gets his.
And then Blake's next one. My wide receivers are DK Waddle, Devonta Smith, Puka, Addison. Which 3 would you start?
Damn, those are good.
I would honestly leave off the 2 guys who are banged up. Well, actually, that's tough because if Waddle,
how do DK, Puka, and Devontae?
DK's banged up with those ribs, which is a little.
Devontae
scary.
missed some practice too, but I'm not 100% sure it's like a serious thing, more of a rest thing.
Waddle's concussions more serious than the ribs.
The problem, though, is
Puka, you gotta play.
If Waddle is cleared from concussion protocol, that means he's good. Like that concussion's not lingering or anything.
He's already out of it?
No, if he gets out of it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
If the concussion doesn't linger. You get what I'm trying to say, LaPlante?
Yeah, if he's playing and he's cleared from the protocol, which is always a hairy situation, as we know. But if he's playing, you're playing Waddle and you're playing Puka as at least 2. And I think I lean Devontae Smith over DK.
Yeah, that's totally. And DK's ribs scare me, man. Ribs are tough to play with.
He came back and played though.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder what kind of shot they gave him to tolerate the pain there.
The matchup
for the Panthers are tough against wide receivers, so I could see why you guys.
I wouldn't say they're necessarily tough, but I will get to that in the matchup.
Yeah. Next game we got here is the Buffalo Bills taking on the Washington Commanders. And James Cook, big week last week, over 20 fantasy points. Gabe Davis as well, catching a long touchdown. Where do you have both of these guys ranked this week against the Commanders?
For Cook, he's got a little bit of a tougher matchup this week. Ooh. Commanders front, at least 4, are all first rounders, and they're all very, very good. I mean, they're also 9th best against running backs, so they're not allowing too much to running backs. But James Cook also does his damage in the passing game a little bit. But still, he should still be a top 24 running back, even though it's a little sketchy, not going to lie. It was against his defense, at least.
Yeah, I just love the volume that we saw from James Cook last week. The only thing that
he looks good, too.
Yeah, he is good. That's kind of what I've been touting all offseason, that he's very, very good. The only issue is, and Mike will attest to it, the red zone work is not going to go to him. All right.
Yes.
It's going to go to Damian Harris. It's going to go to Latavius Murray, which one of those.
He doesn't need that to be RB2.
Exactly. He's going to be involved in the passing game. When he touches the ball, he's explosive. Break any run, anytime. That's my guy. I fucking love James Cook.
I think James Cook pulled like a weird Space Jam, like taking Dalvin.
He took his brother.
As soon as he got into the league, Dalvin Cook just fell off a cliff, and then all of a sudden James Cook is on this rise. He's getting all this hype. It's like he took all his juice.
He
only have one Cook.
Why can't he be Dalvin Cook?
Like Dylan's fantasy team name. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. You can only have one cook.
Yep. Right. Let's talk about Commanders a little bit here, man, after a nice surprising start from them. But is it time to sit Jahan Dotson on your bench after an extremely slow start? And he's kind of been everyone's wide receiver dandy heading into this season. And he's just totally disappointed, like his teammate, who we'll get into with the question after this.
Oh, excuse me. I need another beer. Yeah, you're sitting him this week. I mean, here's some positive things. He's getting 6 targets a game. He leads the team in target share with 19%. So he's clearly a favorite target of Howell. He's playing more snaps than Terry McLaurin, 86.1% to 81.2%.
Weird.
Again, weird. So it's like he's on the field more. He's getting targeted more. It's just apparently they're just not hooking up. Now McLaurin was lucky enough to score the touchdown last week, which Jahan Dotson, did he score in week 1? Because I don't even think he scored in week 1. So he hasn't scored all year. Bills are 4th best at defending wide receivers, only allowing 24 points per game. You can get it down on the ground a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing all about. Basically, all East Coast games are just going to be terrible weather, and they're probably going to be running the ball a shit ton. But yeah, pretty much like I'm sitting Dotson for now until we can see the efficiency numbers climb a little bit more, catch a little bit more of those targets that he's getting the most of. Yeah, just a tough matchup this week. I mean, I'm even contemplating sitting McLaurin and Scott Fishbowl this week.
Yeah,
just because of the matchup,
especially with the weather concerns as well. And you kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier. Brian Robinson is really taking over this backfield. So I'm curious, if you needed a running back this week in the 2 weeks Antonio Gibson disappointed, would you have dropped him for a guy like, let's say, like a Gus Edwards type of player this week on waivers?
With RB injuries being so common throughout an NFL season and just through 2 weeks, because, I mean, Eckler's going to be gone for another week. Aaron Jones banged up.
Barkley.
Running back injuries. Barkley, the injuries happen. These guys are getting the most touches. So, no, I'm not dropping him. Not yet. You got it. Yeah, it's a whole situation because you can't be dropping running backs on an offense that are, knowingly running the ball. Like if Brian Robinson gets hurt, they're going to continue to keep running the ball. Bieniemy is an offensive coordinator that takes what the offense gives him, and apparently the offense has been giving him to run the ball. I disagree with that, Dave, but I understand if you want to sell high on them because they are 2-0 and the value is probably not going to get much higher unless they keep winning. But this is, man, if they win against the Bills, though, because, it's possible. Like you said,
they're at home.
Josh Allen easily turn this ball over to this team.
Exactly. That's the thing. And it would not be shocked. This is one of those ones that has upset kind of written on it a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, I could attest to that. Let's head on over to the afternoon games, guys, though, shall we? Our first one here on the docket is the Carolina Panthers versus the Seattle Seahawks. Man, oh man, this Panthers offense has just struggled. But hey,
might get a
professional backup with the Red Rocket here, Andy Dalton, and stepping in the lineup for the injured Bryce Young. But
knowing what you're going through with Fields, would you take Andy Dalton right now?
Please shut
up.
Go on.
Is everyone a must sit in this offense outside of Miles Sanders?
This is a tough one. Because on one side, you got Andy Dalton playing, who, come on. He's getting up there in age. Who does he have it? Who knows?
Oh, you professional.
But on the other side, Seahawks don't look great on defense. They're 31st against wide receivers, 32nd against running backs, 27th against tight ends. So basically, when you play Seahawks, you are scoring fantasy points. But again, it's Andy Dalton. And the pass catchers are a rookie and an old man, Adam Thielen, so you can't really trust them unless you're in a deeper league. So honestly, Hayden Hurst, since tight ends are brutal, I would start him. Start him. Depends on what your options are.
I'm going to go ahead and plant my flag on it. This is going to be the week Andy Dalton's going to hit DJ Chark on a long touchdown. Planting that flag on it. There you go, Dave. That's my DFS dart throw of the week.
It's got to be at least Mingo.
Nah, give me DJ Chark.
No, we want Mingo. Mingo needs it.
not do anything.
Heading on over to Seattle though, Mike. Do you trust DK or do you trust DK is going to be a full go with the ribs, or is he kind of going to be? Yeah, I messed that up. Or is he kind of going to be a decoy more for Tyler Lockett?
Drink another.
Way too many D's, right? Bro.
What are you talking about? He should be used to all that many D's.
Oh shit!
He's used to that many D's. We're good.
Stop it.
So, this is what I was alluding to with the stats on the Panthers defense, and like you said, the Panthers have been tough on the pass. I disagree. They haven't been tough on the pass. It's just teams don't need to pass on them. Their run defense has been so horrific through 2 games. The Pope is he gives me shit. The previous comment, he goes, LaPlante, if Robinson gets hurt, the Commanders are still going to run the ball. In other news, water is wet. I'm like, what do you want me to say? Water isn't wet and lie?
That's good stuff.
Dave, we need our own show. But through 2 games, the Panthers have allowed an abysmal 3rd most fantasy points to RBs at a 31.5 clip per game, and have been the 3rd best at wide receivers, allowing only 21.75. And that's why it kind of looks like, on the surface, they've been good against the wide receivers. The thing is they've almost allowed just as many rushing yards as passing yards. So teams just don't need to pass on them. They've allowed 264 rushing yards, and that's 7th most in the NFL, and just 298 passing yards. So, this run defense is just abysmal right now. So, I think they just run it down their throats. It's Pete Carroll. Why not?
Ken Walker week this week, huh?
I mean,
again,
maybe Charbonnet.
I have him top
Charbonnet
5.
Gets involved a little bit.
Pretty sure I have him 3.
He's been awesome, and that's someone that I completely faded all off season because of Sharp being in the offense, and he's just been great. But luckily,
Seahawks just wasted a 2nd round pick on him.
Yep, yeah, they did, and I've reaped the benefits of playing Ken Walker the first couple weeks in DFS, though. It's been nice.
That quote applies to you too, Dave.
Love it. Next game here. We could probably get through this one quick. We got the Dallas Cowboys versus the Arizona Cardinals. Ike, in another easy game for the Cowboys, should Dak really be started in this matchup? How do you feel about him?
He is averaging under 200 pass yards a game. He does get a touchdown here and there, but does he really have to do much this week?
That's what I mean.
I mean, Micah Parsons against
you want to start?
Probably a rookie left tackle or right tackle, whatever, because Paris Johnson's there. I'm assuming Micah Parsons is going to be lined up wherever he is, and he is just going to destroy that kid. I'm assuming Dobbs is going to be running for his life. Obviously, you got to start Pollard and CeeDee because you draft them where they were, but you can find a better option over Dak.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd probably play. I would have played Purdy over Dak if I had that choice.
I'm just over here catching strays for Mike.
Would you play?
I said Brock for Dak.
So here's my question, because we had this on the Joe's show: Deshaun Watson or Dak Prescott?
Dak.
That's a good one.
Just the karma factor about having to start Deshaun Watson. I'm out.
I mean, you already
I
got
get
the
that.
karma factor.
I get that, but man, Dak isn't gonna have to do shit, dude. At least Deshaun's
unless he gets it early. What if he gets it early, man? What if it's 28-3 at halftime and he's got 3 touchdowns? Wishful thinking. It is wishful. So
man, I have Dak in leagues. I don't even. I'm probably gonna start a different quarterback. I just haven't looked at it yet. But like Stafford, decent option over Dak. I mean, Dak's lucky if he's a top 15 option.
The terrible Raiders defense, who are dead last in applying pressure to quarterbacks. Would you play Kenny Pickett over Dak Prescott?
No.
I couldn't do that. Okay. All
right.
That's what I draw
Arizona. Let's talk Arizona real quick, though. Real quick. Can you start James Conner in this one just strictly based on volume, Michael Plant? Because yeah, this Dallas defense is legit.
I'm going to take as much time to answer this question as you are going to spend on watching this game to watch James Conner play.
0 seconds?
You're starting him. Don't watch. He's tied fourth for all RBs and rushing attempts, and he has 5 receptions on the year, which is tied for 20th out of all RBs. So the volume is just too much to sit. Flex play, just don't watch the fucking game.
Yep, agreed. What's your take on Hollywood after catching a touchdown last week? Wide receiver 3 option, or are you good?
It's a little encouraging with, and I mean, I don't say this in a bad way. I mean, all prayers go out to Trayvon Diggs and his ACL injury. It's a little bit more encouraging with him out, but no, I'm still sitting Marquise Brown.
Pass rush is what makes the coverage, man.
And you still got Stephon Gilmore back
with
there.
that lethal. I mean, Micah Parsons is just good. Just destroy the kid. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Connor or Pacheco, Jamie says.
Pacheco.
That one's Isaiah Pacheco. Yep.
That is Pacheco. That is one of those ones where if you do have a better option than Connor, go ahead and do it because it's not going to be a pretty game for Connor. It's going to be like 18 rushes for 40 yards. Maybe he falls in the end zone.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Dave's right. Volume is king here, but Pacheco's getting a decent amount of volume, and he's got a good matchup. It's like it's not as much volume as Connor, but it's a better matchup to balance that out.
And let's jump right into that matchup. We got the Chicago Bears traveling to Kansas City to get their ass kicked by the Chiefs. Mike, do you believe Justin Fields can start putting up QB1 numbers this week against the Chiefs after he's just going to go out there and he said, end quote, F it? He's just going to send it, man. So what's your take here?
This is a big week for him, actually. If he can somehow hang with Patrick Mahomes or even somehow beat him, his whole season narrative changes. The whole Bears outlook probably changes, I'm assuming, because you're beating the Chiefs. It's not looking great for him fantasy-wise because the Chiefs only allow 11.6 fantasy points a game to quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yep.
They haven't versed a running quarterback like Fields, though. So if he uses his legs, that's why I have him as a fringe quarterback 1. I still think he'll use his legs and he could be started. But I'm also banking on him having his bounce-back game this year against the Chiefs, weirdly. But it's risky, but you can do it.
From a fantasy perspective, I think people are overreacting about Justin Fields. All right. Has he looked absolutely horrendous watching him in the games? 100%. I don't want to say it, but he has. He's looked awful. But, guys, he's still scored 14, 15, 16 fantasy points, whatever it is around there. And that is his absolute floor from the 2 weeks. Would you guys agree? Because he's been atrocious. He hasn't been running. Exactly. That is his floor. So if that's his floor, you have to stick with Justin Fields. And if they're absolutely getting their ass kicked like we all expect here this week, what's stopping him from running around, picking up garbage time points as well? I think he puts up QB1 numbers this week. And moving forward, his schedule softens up some. And I think that he's going to come around and have
he'll be fine.
Yeah. Yep. But our next one, with Deonta Foreman being a healthy scratch last week, Ike, we saw a little bit more involvement for the rookie Roshan Johnson. Herbert still saw more work, but who is the running back you want to start this week out of the backfield?
I would rather have Herbert this week. He still carries the rock more than Roshan. And the Chiefs don't allow very many catches to the running backs, only 2.5 a game. So that's why I lean Herbert, even though I'd rather not start either of them.
Yeah.
I think there are better options out there, like a Zach Moss, obviously, and Jerome Ford is a fringe one on that because you don't know what Kareem Hunt's going to do, but still you can probably go him.
Yeah.
Interesting thing I saw, though, Roshan is number 1 on the chart on Sleeper. I just thought that was weird when I clicked on the team roster on them. Just weird.
Yeah, that's definitely weird. I think you're still hanging tough with DJ Moore this week. I think you're still starting him, but you can miss me with pretty much everybody else. Jumping over to the Kansas City side of things, we already talked Pacheco. We like him in this very solid matchup. But, Mike, let's talk the wide receiver core, and let's talk specifically about Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. Are they back in the circle of trust by chance, or are you still out on both?
I'm just laughing at Dave's comment. Real quick before I get into the Pacheco talk, Jamie just brought up, he goes, Joe Bond has Connor at RB16 this week and Pacheco at 26.
Mine are like
That's
switched on that.
that actually kind of surprises me. I didn't know he had that big of a disparity, but I do think he probably changes that by Sunday morning here. But you know what
I think
we
I
kind
have
of got
Pacheco 18, Connor like 24.
You know what we kind of got going on here? We got another CH in the making. Kadarius Toney has the most targets out of any pass catcher so far with 10 targets. Now, granted, Kelsey missed a week, and last week he got 9 targets, so he's one off already in 1 week. But nonetheless, Sky Moore is on the field more than Toney, and it's a big disparity here. 58.2% compared to 28.4%.
It's still not enough snaps for Sky Moore either.
But yet,
58% of the snaps, not good.
But yet, Kadarius Toney has more catches than Sky Moore. So, like, it's almost like they're, using Toney as that, like what they did with CEH last year a little bit. You know what I mean? Just kind of a gadget guy, use him in the red zone a little bit too on third downs. I mean, it goes to say just, they're not in the circle of trust anymore. Neither of them not right now. It's Kelsey. He got 9 targets when he came back. It's kind of silly how you can't get a secondary pass catcher outside of Travis Kelsey. It reminds me of the years with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams when they were just begging for a second wide receiver.
Justin Watson, Ike.
Ew. He's good for 2 catches, 50 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Or is it Rashee Rice? I mean,
it should be Rashee Rice.
So,
but me personally wants Justin Ross.
They're begging for a wide receiver to step up here, and I'm sorry, there's just no wide receiver stepping up yet. So, no, they're both not in my circle of trust.
Man, if only they traded for, like, the A.J. Brown who was on the block 2 years ago, 1 year ago, whatever. DeAndre Hopkins. They wouldn't have
been able to pay AJ Brown, but they should have got Hopkins. Hopkins didn't want to play with them. No,
they should have did.
So they got Odell. Granted, he's hurt right now, but at least he could teach your wide receivers something.
Start Kadarius Toney this week, or break your pinky toe.
Break my pinky toe.
I'll break both pinky toes.
Need it.
Sunday night football, guys. Not sure quite why this is the Sunday night game, but we have the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Ike, let's talk backfield. And who would you rather start, Jaylen Warren or Najee Harris? And once again, why is the answer Jaylen Warren?
You're not going to like this, Dylan. I think it's Najee still. I'm giving him one more week in this matchup. But the touches are not great. Sick. It's 19-18 in Najee's favor, but the yards is 104-74 in Warren's favor. Clearly, Warren looks better. Clearly, Najee. Something's going on with him. Why does he look slower than a blocking tight end? I don't know if you guys saw the play on Sunday, but he was moving so slow. It looked like it was slow motion on Twitter. I don't know. Maybe it could have been doctored. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? But
he's got the case of the bads, man.
He's like, he's moving that slow, bro.
He was running so slow. He makes slow people look not slow.
He was making offensive linemen look fast. They're like, come on, dude, hurry up, man.
Najee is not the goods right now, and it really is scary stuff.
He is
offense that's
Trent
not
Richardson
good.
2.0.
But that offensive line, guys. I mean, not good.
No wonder why they say they're not good. The dude can't even bust through the hole. He's running at 0.5 speed.
But Jaylen Warren looks fine, Mike. When he touches it, that's the issue.
Yeah, weird, huh?
That's what's shaky about it. It's kind of a whole. And I hung on to Zeke until the very end, guys. When I said that, and I thought Zeke was better than Tony Pollard still, and that just wasn't the case. It's the same thing here. Jaylen Warren.
But no, it's different. It's different because Zeke had 8 years under his belt of touches, or 6 years under his belt. Najee has 2 to 3 years now that I'm thinking about it.
I think he got all used up at Alabama.
That's possible. That's
good.
possible.
Najee hasn't been good.
They are not. I mean, when you remember Najee coming out of Alabama, what was he known for? Catching the ball. He was known for being a 3-down back and catching the ball. What are they not using him as? A 3-down back and catching the ball, or at least in the passing game. You know what I mean? Give Jalen Warren maybe the in between the tackles he's not and then switch the roles.
That first year, he saw so many touches. He saw like 350 touches that first year. Probably used them all up that year, but still. Yeah,
because Ben couldn't do anything but check the ball down. And if they're going to throw it to him,
I think they should switch the roles. Back. Like, because I don't disagree with you. He looks slower and he's not as explosive. Why not have that guy running through the tackles then?
Because he can't make it to the line in time.
Because in my opinion, Najee Harris is the better pass blocker too. He's the better pass pro guy. So why is he not in there on third downs? Make Jalen Warren the in between, and give him some.
Okay, I can't agree with that.
You know what I mean? But you'll use Najee as a little bit as that passing back, what he was known for.
You just can't give up on that draft capital right now. At least you can't. Like I said, this is a big week for him. If he looks bad again, or
if you're not giving up on Kyle Pitts yet, you're not giving up on Najee Harris.
You drafted Kyle Pitts in the 7th round, though, Mike. You drafted,
but you're still not giving up on him.
You 100% still not giving up on him. 100% can give up on Kyle Pitts. That's fine.
You can, but you're not
up on Najee Harris.
You can, but you're not. Like, people can get over and drop Kyle Pitts, but nobody's fucking doing it. Name one
at least
where you can pick up Kyle Pitts.
Look like he run. Like he can run. Najee Harris just plods around.
Najee Harris has been a volume back since he's come in the league, and what is he not getting now? And that's the bulk of the volume.
And he's moving at half speed.
Does not need to be played anymore in fantasy.
I'm willing to go as far as say that this offensive line has never improved since his fucking rookie year.
They're trying
to help him. They're trying. Congratulations. The Giants tried, and look at their O-line.
I hear
is it not improving, or is Najee not improving?
Right. That's what I'm saying. The O-line looks fine when it's Jalen, but it looks fine when Jalen Warren's got the ball in his hands. That's the problem. That's the problem here, Mike.
Yeah, you know what? Kenyon Drake looked fine when he was the backup to David Johnson, and then he went to Miami, and what the fuck happened? Oh, but yeah, he was not irrelevant.
The backup anymore. He's almost he's getting the same amount of touches as Najee.
It's basically 50-50.
My point is the guy who's not getting the full majority of the workload always looks fresher.
They both aren't getting the full majority of the workload, asshole. I just said that.
I know, and Jalen is is it touch or just
one touch? Attempts? One touch.
It is touches.
One touch. Yeah.
So I still think that he's going to look better because Jalen Warren doesn't have as much tread on the tires as Najee Harris. Of course. It's that simple. I understand.
Let's just say this is a big week for Najee. He means it.
Yeah, we got to move on. Let's jump over to the Raiders side of things and let's talk Josh Jacobs, who came into the season not looking great after holding out all preseason.
It's a battle of bad running backs.
Yeah, he's finished outside the top 24 the first 2 weeks. How do you feel he fares against the Steelers defense, Mike?
I mean, he's RB7 for me in my rankings this week. Steelers are allowing.
I'm pretty high too.
Yeah, Steelers are allowing the second most running back fantasy points per game at 31.75. You gotta love that. He's tied for 10th most for running backs in receptions, which is a reverse narrative of what he usually gets because he hasn't been involved in the passing game when Gruden was the coach. And then he's 12th in targets for running backs. So it's another one of those ones where it's just volume. And in my opinion, there's more volume here than James Conner's getting because there's more receptions to be had. It gives you a little bit higher of a floor because a reception is worth a point to a rushing, yard.
Plus, he's still shaking off the rust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't play all preseason or practice.
This is a great matchup for him, though. And you're starting Josh Jacobs. Don't be silly. Start your studs.
Yep.
We got another 2.
Have a good one, Dave. It was nice
Monday
hanging out with you.
See you, Dave. The first Monday Night Football game we got is the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. Who do you have ranked highest in the backfield? with Gainwell back in the fold now and DeAndre Swift after he just had a huge week?
Both are ranked outside top 24. I have Swift 28, Gainwell 31, I believe. You may think that's weird, but I think Swift looked more explosive. I mean, he looked really good in that game. He was able to carry a full workload. I'd like to think that carries more, but obviously he won't. I still think he should get the more touches. I think he's a better pass catcher. I think he's a better runner than Gainwell, especially behind that offensive line. So, man, it's hard to trust either of them. I would lean someone like, honestly, I'd probably go James Conner over DeAndre Swift.
Totally.
Just be blunt. You can't trust this backfield. It's not that you can't trust Gainwell or Trust. You just can't trust Gainwell or Swift. You can't trust.
I want it to be Swift so bad, but
we all do.
I just don't think they will.
Yeah, you kind of got to wait and see what happens this week because obviously week 1 we saw Gainwell out-touch Swift by a lot. Like Swift only played 19.
But he didn't look as explosive.
Right. And now that you got both backs healthy after Swift just had a huge game.
Maybe they split the workload.
Yeah,
it's going to be split like Jalen Warren and Najee.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like.
Like, because neither of those guys are in between the tackle runners. So who's going to be the guy doing that? Swift.
I'd assume Swift. He's a little bit bigger of a body.
Back, which I mean, then you tip the favor you tip the scale in favor of Gainwell because he's getting the high priority touches then.
But Swift is the better pass catcher.
I know, but who's the better? I know you're not wrong, but if they look at it like who's the better in between tackle runner, which they need in that offense with the RPOs, it's Swift over Gainwell, right?
I think it's Swift. I think Swift is the better running back significantly, but they should have got a power back instead of Swift if they wanted someone.
They did. Rashad Penny.
Rashad Penny, who's
Rashad Penny.
The ghost of Rashad Penny.
Yes.
That's why this offense.
All he's worth is a penny.
Don't trust this backfield in redraft. If you want to throw darts in it at DFS, go for it, but don't trust it in redraft.
Yep.
For now, yeah.
Let's head on over to the Tampa side of things. I think we've seen enough from Rachaad White to start him. He's definitely seen enough from Mike Evans. But what do you guys think about Chris Godwin? I'm a little worried about his ceiling, Mike. He's failed to score 11 fantasy points in either game. Are you worried about his ceiling, or are you still plugging him in your lineup and you're taking that 10 points and all right with it?
I know the question is the ceiling, but yeah, of course I'm plugging in 10 points. Are you kidding me? An automatic 10 points, 11 points. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to lose that week with that. All right. You're going to lose those weeks when Zay Jones gets you 0.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm still plugging him into my lineup. I'm not benching Chris Godwin. Yeah, I'm a little worried about his ceiling. I think this week is going to be a little different. I just get, you get those gut feelings in fantasy. I have a gut feeling that the Eagles are going to take away what has been working for Baker. And what has been working for Baker? Throwing to Mike Evans. It's been working. All right. I mean, but here's the thing. We know Baker can only support one wide receiver in this offense. So if they shut out Mike Evans and that deep pass, which they can with those cornerbacks, I think Godwin's a good play underneath.
They are a little small to be going against Mike Evans, though.
They are, but they're faster. And, I mean, Mike Evans is not going to be getting behind them. So, like, I get it. The size is a factor. If they get in the red zone, yeah, they're probably going to throw him a couple red zone targets. But I do think this is going to be the week where we see Chris Godwin ceiling.
Apparently, Eagles get burned by tight ends, too, right now. So, I mean, if you are struggling at tight end and you want to stream, take a shot on the old Cadester.
Hunter Henry, week 1, and then who'd they play last week? TJ Hawkinson. That's why.
The old Cadester, man. Throw him out there.
I wouldn't do it. They played Hunter Henry and Hawkinson the first 2 weeks. Cade Otton is not even Hunter Henry level. Don't do it.
Last game of the week, fellas, we got the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Does Matthew Stafford have sneaky quarterback 1 upside this week to a Bengals team that has allowed 2 top 10 finishes at the position?
I would not go that far. Matthew Stafford hasn't seen a top 12 quarterback finish since week 2 of 2022. He was hurt a little bit last year, but still, it's been a minute.
He's playing
he was
good
without Cup during that time.
300, but I mean, through these 2 games, you got to admit he's playing good. 300 plus passing yards.
Yeah, for sure, but he's not getting the touchdowns. they should
No,
be
you're right.
with that
He's
many
not.
yards. But
Ceiling's cut off.
Bengals can be beat through the air. I mean, I wouldn't go 12-team leagues or 10-team leagues. I wouldn't start him. But if you are in Superflex or 2-quarterback leagues, he's perfect for it, and you can roll him out there.
Good stuff for sure.
Yep. I mean, honestly, I thought about, and I know it's silly for me to think about, and this is just me tilting, but I thought about going to pick up Stafford and start him over Trevor Lawrence just because you know how our league is with the pass.
Decent thinking because of yards and who Trevor plays and all that. So, I mean, I get it, but still, it's hard to do that.
Then I think at this point, you're starting Kyron Williams, you're starting Puka Nacua, you're starting Tutu Atwell until they burn you. If they burn you this week, sorry. You don't want to leave these guys on your bench any longer.
Trust me, you don't.
Kyron Williams played 98% of the snaps last week or something. 70 snaps. 70 snaps.
So Zach Evans isn't a thing, apparently.
Leading all running backs in targets.
He might be the best pass catching running back right now. Like I said when he came out, he's a good pass catching running back, just not very good runner. So
just slow.
And that's what you're seeing, like 12 carries, 50 yards, which is fine.
But that fits McVay's offense. That fits McVay's offense.
Let's jump over to the Cincinnati Bengals now, Mike. Let's talk. Are we benching Burrow even if he plays this week, which it's kind of trending downwards for him, but are you starting him or are you putting him on the bench?
So I'm never going to tell you guys, and you guys obviously, and you guys who are watching us that are kind enough to tune in. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm 100% transparent on this. Even if Burrow starts, I'm still benching him. All right. I'm more afraid of Burrow. Yeah, I'm more afraid of the game plan, even if he plays to be run heavy. All right, because here's the thing: Burrow is just getting murdered. All right, they're putting him in shotgun plays, and he's just getting murdered. So, they're just that calf injury plus the fact that he's getting pressured as much as he is not a good combination. And in that fantasy 6-pack league with the trophy on the line, I'm 0-2 because, I mean, apparently I drafted Najee Harris, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow in that league. This is a team. Yeah, it's poor. But beyond that, it's like I don't trust Burrow this week. I'm playing Stafford over him in that league. Just because of that injury scaring me and the fact that he is still not looking right.
Yeah, definitely 100% doesn't look right.
I don't think he should play.
And he should
sit him.
You could ruin your season. Let him sit for a couple weeks.
Like they might have already ruined their season.
Yeah, it's very possible.
You rushed him back to get him back for the start of the season.
They should have never played him in week 1.
And you go 0-2 and he re-injures his calf. What if he has to sit out the next? What if he has to sit out the next 3 games?
He sat out a month already with that same injury.
I know. What if he has to sit out another month? Cincinnati's that's not enough time, 0-6, man.
If that's not enough time, something's wrong with that calf. And if you trot him out there with a bad calf, hopefully it doesn't happen. That's what happened to Aaron Rodgers. If you want to see a torn Achilles, go out there on a bad calf.
No, it's not just a bad calf. Yes, it is a major part of it. It's the O-line. Look at what Aaron Rodgers had to deal with the Jets O-line. All right. Yes. The calf wasn't a problem. He dealt with it in the preseason, but the O-line just kept allowing him to get pressured, even in his 3 plays. How many times was he pressured? I mean, so that's the problem with Joe Burrow. And it's the
sudden movements where you have to turn around like a weird half circle, and then you're stepping on and then boom, done.
Keep allowing those pressures. Joe Burrow is going to have to keep doing that, and he's going to re-injure it.
That's why I keep putting him in shotgun because he can't do the play action rollouts and stuff.
They are better to just sit him this week. If they go 0-3, that's fine. Not many teams go 0-3 and make the playoffs, but if you got Joe Burrow. You can. If you don't have Joe Burrow for multiple weeks, like you said, this team is not making the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not good stuff, and it's not good for the offense if he sits either way either because, like I said, you got Jake Browning, but Fortunately, I think you're still riding with Jamar Chase. I'm still riding with T. Higgins this week, even if it's Jake Browning.
Still right with Joe Mixon.
It just is what it is.
I gotta ask you this. This is the ultimate question. If you got Jake Browning starting, are you starting T. Higgins or Garrett Wilson?
It's probably Garrett Wilson. It's Garrett Wilson at this point.
Garrett Wilson, because they have a connection, at least.
Yeah, Brian, but that is
the weather's gonna be bad there.
Oh, that's true as well.
It's weather depending.
See, that's such a tough question there. T. Higgins or Garrett Wilson?
Yeah,
I'm going T. Higgins still.
Yeah, guys, just make sure you're tuning into the weather report on Sunday wherever you check that out. Because on the East Coast games, it's gonna be
good guy on Twitter. Does it? I can't think of his name right now.
Please.
I know. I was thinking the same exact thing.
Matt FF Dynasty, maybe. Don't quote me.
Something like that. Go check it out.
No bad weather this weekend, fantasy gods. Thank you.
Oh, there's bad weather, bro.
Definitely.
Let it clear up.
But guys, we're all finished here. Please smash that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans and check out our memberships. You can chat with us at our Discord with that. It's just an awesome time in there. So make sure you go ahead and do that. The YouTube channel's got nothing going on tomorrow, but we got a busy day on Sunday like we always do. We'll have Alan on talking bets on Sunday. We'll have Joe here talking rankings. Michael Platt, myself, and Jordan Schultz will answer all your start-sit questions. And then hopefully for the DFS show this week, we have Chris Robin and Dave Eddy there taking you up to lineup lock, talking DFS stuff with you guys. So make sure you tune into the channel starting at 10:30 Eastern time. Correct, Mike? I think.
Yes, but before we go, again, this is my fault. This was only 5 minutes ago, so it's not that much of my fault. We do have one more question. Standard league, need a flex. Drake London, Jerry Jeudy, Jerome Ford, and James Conner. But yes, to answer your question, it is 10:30. Although we might start a little later because I'm not 100% sure if Joe mentioned it to you, but he might not be able to come on.
Okay. Well, let's answer Richard's questions here. Need a flex? London, Jeudy, Jerome Ford, or James Conner? Unfortunately, I think we're gonna roll with James Conner here.
It's between James Conner and Drake London for me. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is out. That's why it's like I kind of like.
I'm going Drake London.
I still lean James Conner though. Volume does roll.
Right on.
Drake London burned Jair a few times, man, last week. So whoever he's got, that's easier than that.
That didn't convince Arthur Smith to get him more targets though.
I think it did. It convinced Desmond Ridder the 10 times he's thrown, at least 6 are going to him.
I don't know.
I love it.
Arthur Smith didn't think of it as winning football, so
Arthur Smith doesn't think anything except run the ball.
But thanks, Jamie. We appreciate you, man, hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate everybody who commented and chimed in. It was a blast as always.
Appreciate all of you.
But yeah, guys, check us out on the Sunday Social on Sunday, but that wraps it up from here. So until next time, for Mike and Ike, I'm Dylan. We'll talk at you next time.
Peace.